Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan, Rock Motor City Mad Mouth. Glad to have Rick Curti back on the broadcast. Good evening, Rick.
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing all right, and Dave Hodges, our tag team partner for this broadcast. Good evening, Mr. Hodges.
Scott, Rick, how are you?
We're doing all right. Well, you know what? This is an all Miami Marlins baseball show, and for good reason. We'll lead off with Don Mattingly, who is a manager of the year by the baseball writers this time. Who more deserving to get that award?
Yeah, I mean, I said from the beginning that Mattingly should get it because of the way he handled the whole COVID situation when they had the outbreak. And, and then they lost over 100 games last season, and then he takes them to the playoffs. So, I mean, and he's just been a great manager all through his whole career. Even with the Dodgers, he was always a good, solid, great manager. So I'm very happy for Don Mattingly, and well-deserved.
Put it this way, 174 players, 174 roster transactions, 62 players getting into the postseason for the first time since 2003. If he did not get selected manager of the year, the system would have been tremendously flawed. Thankfully, he got selected manager of the year. A very even-keeled guy. Players love him, knows a lot about the game. To me, Don Mattingly was a slam dunk, no-brainer if I ever saw it. I'm just glad it worked out that Donnie did become manager. And I'm going to tell you again, and I'll say it until we're tired of hearing it, he was an absolute great person to work with all year, and I'm looking forward to 2021 working with this organization. Dave, your thoughts about Don Mattingly?
Well, I mean, as you guys said, very well deserved. What he did down there in South Florida. Miami Marlins fans have, nothing but good times to look forward to. Obviously, when COVID gets out of here and everybody can get back to the ballpark and, start enjoying games again. And, he did so much, obviously with that franchise. And, it was such a coup for that team to be able to get him, down there to manage that ball club. And, as you mentioned, he's definitely a player's manager. And, and of course, if Miami didn't need any more attractions, from, possible star names, when they come up into free agency in the coming seasons, and hopefully, Mattingly can set himself in down there and make the Miami Marlins a contender, for many years to come, where, he's got agents of top players calling him saying, hey, my guy would love to come play for you down there in Miami, and, let's see what we can do. So, anyone that's a diehard Marlins fan, put on 2 pairs of sunglasses because the future is bright.
Oh, is it ever bright? I'm going to tell you what, and that segues to where we're going right now. By now, everybody knows the Miami Marlins hired Kim Ng as the new general manager, the first woman ever to go ahead and general manager be hired by any men's professional league in North America. Let's talk about Kim's experience. Okay, combined 21 years of experience in front offices. She started with the Chicago White Sox from 1990 to 96, went to the New York Yankees from 1998 to 2001, and the Dodgers from 2002 to 2011. And then she went on to work with the Major League Baseball office. Kim starts off as an intern, made the progression. So you want to talk about a very unbelievable hire. This is it. If this is not a home run hire, I don't know what is. Let me rephrase it. It's a grand slam home run hire. Mm-hmm. Now, watching her carry herself during today's media availability, you want to talk about another even-keeled, level-headed, intelligent woman. Kim is definitely it. This woman has paid her dues in baseball for a lot of years, and I'm glad that the Miami Marlins became the first one to give her an opportunity. Now, this hire to me is not only such a great hire, but I'm waiting for the next monumental hire to be had when should Becky Hammon ever become an NBA head coach. And I believe that Becky Hammon, to me, should become an NBA head coach. And I look forward to today, the one we could talk about that. But this one here is huge. Okay, Hodges, lead it off.
Yeah, it's like you say, this is monumental for the game of baseball, and you're kind of surprised that it hasn't happened in years before. But like you said, she's paid her dues, over 2 decades in the games, starting out as an intern, and, just someone obviously, who loves the game of baseball. And, I'm super excited. Obviously, I know all the sports pundits, they're just applauding Derek Jeter for making this hire. And of course, everybody's saying, it's time now that, a woman be, leading a team, and best of luck to her. I'm over the moon about it. And, again, as Marlins fans have a lot to be look forward to, to who's, in charge in the dugout. Well, now they also have a lot to look forward to with who's in charge, or I don't say in the front office, but, one of the ones in charge in the front office. Obviously, there's are people above her, but this is it's a good hire all the way around. And, I'm very, very interested to see what the coming seasons will bring and what kind of team she can put together.
Right.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal hire. Congratulations to Kim Ng. Kind of surprised it's never been done before, but I think we'll see. I think she's be a trailblazer. I mean, we got our first female vice president, female, and now we got a female GM in baseball. And I mean, women are really making a well-deserved after many, many years of being discriminated against because it's a man's world and da-da-da. But to me, if you got the experience, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you can do the job, you can do the job. She's very, very experienced. She paid her dues, and it's going to be very interesting. She's also the first Asian GM as well. So, I mean, she made history in both counts. So congratulations to her. And the Marlins, they're looking good. They got the manager of the year in Don Mattingly. They got a great hire in GM in Kim Ng. And if I was a player, free agent, I'd be very attracted to go to Miami. Florida, there's no, you don't have to pay the state tax over there, and you're going to be in South Beach, and what a pretty nice lifestyle. You're going to make lots of money. So I think Miami would be a very attractive place to go to if I was a free agent.
Well, some of the things I picked up at the media availability, Jordan McPherson, who's a beat writer from down here, asked her about the familiarity of working with Derek Jeter and Don Mattingly, and Kim said, you know what, this is going to be a very smooth transition for her. She's worked with Derek, she's known him for 20 years, and Don Mattingly for 8 now in LA, so they're having a history with both of these guys. Certainly reduces the learning curve, therefore it's a seamless transition. You can't get any more seamless than this.
Exactly. So, I mean, they known each other for years. You worked for the Dodgers before. She was with the Yankees before. She knows them very well, and I'm sure that came with her hiring, that, hey, let's get somebody that we're familiar with, that we're confident with, and Kim is just very, very qualified. So, to me, it's a great hire. I think she'll do a phenomenal job.
Dave?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Obviously, Mattingly and Jeter, they've lived this game their entire life, and they'll live it till their their final day. But as we said, Kim, she's definitely paid her dues in the game of baseball. She's gotten to know the right people over her 2 decades in the game, and as Rick just mentioned, and I said earlier, wish her nothing but success, and hopefully this will be the start of something where if she's given enough time to get in there and get her own team on the field, whereas it's more prevalent in the college football realm, but everyone just has the win now mentality, to really where you're not given much time. It's if you can't get a team to a bowl game, then you're just going to be out the door. But hopefully she's given the time to put in to build the staff she wants around her. And, I'd say probably within, Mattingly at the helm in the dugout and, Kim Ng in the front office. I'll say it now, within the next 5 years, I think the Marlins will be in a World Series. I don't know if they'll win it, but I'll definitely put it out there. Within the next 5 seasons, the Miami Marlins will represent the National League, I think, at least one time within the next, probably next half decade.
Well, judging by what I'm hearing down here, she'll get whatever time she needs. Let me tell you, the Marlins are, the way Derek Jeter works is he's very methodical in the way he goes about doing things. Especially in the way his rebuild has been. And when you have a lot of those types of things in place, surrounding yourself with great baseball people got to realize that. You got Don Mattingly there. He's got Jorge Posada around, and he's bringing a lot of people from the Yankee organization to know what it's like to win down here in Southern Florida. And Kim Ng, let's not kid yourself the experience that she has. But here, I had a chance to ask the very last question of the session, and I asked her how much of an impact that Joe Torre had. And bear in mind, Joe Torre was the manager, the Yankees, when they won. She has 3 world championships with the Yankees, went over to L.A. when Torre was there, then proceeded to follow him to the MLB baseball office. And I'm going to tell you exactly what she said. She says, Joe Torre's influence, he's been a great pillar for me, and obviously he's been there with 3 different stops. He's unemotional, objective, keeps his eye on the ball, a guy that I always turn to for advice. So when you talk about Joe Torre being a mentor of sorts that's pretty strong stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's quite a name to have, on your resume, of references, obviously of who to talk to. Like I said, she's been around the game 20 years, been with some of the biggest clubs, and, not just the history of baseball, but the history of American sports. Obviously, of course, New York, the Dodgers, and, now she's, down there with Jeter in Miami. But yeah, it's, personally, I'd say nothing but good days ahead for the Miami Marlins.
The big irony in this whole thing, you work for the Dodgers, and then the White Sox share the same facility at Camelback Ranch. So she was around a lot of familiar faces there, like Kenny Williams and Jerry Reinsdorf, who she speaks very highly of as well. So, the amount of information that she's learned, she's just remarkable. I think some of the key words, Jessica Blaylock, who works for Fox Sports Florida, who I really enjoy working with, and I know Jessica through the Florida Panthers and now obviously with the Miami Marlins, asked Kim about who inspired her the most, because we're talking about inspiring girls, and Kim mentioned that Billie Jean King and Martina Navratilova inspired her. Those are pretty impressive names to be inspired by anybody.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
2 of the greatest tennis players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of major championships, What Billie Jean King did for women's tennis at a time when it really needed a boost.
I remember her and Bobby Riggs.
Oh, yeah.
Battle of the sexes.
Well, don't kid yourself. I remember when I was working in Detroit on Sports Talk, and we had Bobby Riggs actually on our broadcast, George Eichhorn and I, and Rick Curti will be on later on for the Sports Exchange. And I got news for you. That was a pretty interesting match there. But when you talk about the fact that Billie Jean King and Martina Navratilova are pioneers in their own sense, that's pretty strong as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead. I'm going to throw some terms out your way, okay? And I want you to associate each word, and we call it word association, with Kim Ng. Girls. What comes to your mind, Rick?
For Kim Ng girls, I think she'll be a role model for them.
Dave?
Probably we're going to be seeing a lot more enrollment in colleges by women in the sport management or the sport business degree program. So yeah, as Rick said, so many. It's probably going to bring a lot more young girls, teenage girls, and women into the game of baseball. Some may just go with their fathers, husbands, whatever the age may be. I think she's definitely gonna really increase the female viewership for Major League Baseball, not just the Marlins.
Yeah, we'll say with the girls thing, because now that leads me to my next thing. Young women. We're talking about girls, young girls, okay? And now you have young women. okay, now we've reached a point where college could come into play and things like that. So, Dave, you started with this thing with young women. Why don't you go deeper into that one?
Well, well, we definitely, want to, have women, maybe if not just, the business of baseball, but just the business of sport total. Some girls, they may enjoy watching other sports and think, well, I'm a girl, and the most and only men occupy these positions. But you mentioned Becky Hammond, earlier. Like you said, hopefully one day we'll see her heading up a team. So, it might not just be baseball; it could be hockey, football. I think there's already one woman out there working in. She works for the 49ers, I believe. She's either one of the coaches. I think she's on the coaching staff out there. I think this is, you're definitely going to see a lot more women trying to get their foot in the door in the business of sport.
Rick?
When I think of her, I think a pioneer. I think this is like a huge step. I mean, we saw with first female vice president. Now we have a female GM. Now you're seeing like women referees in the NFL now. I think Becky Hammond one day will be a coach in the NBA. And you're just going to see a lot more young women who love sports who probably just thought, well, I can't be in this world because it's a man's sport and I'm a woman. They won't take me seriously. And that's not the case anymore. So I think she's definitely a pioneer, and a lot of women are going to look at her and say, boy, if she can do it, why can't I? So you're going to see a lot of women in sports I wouldn't be surprised if you saw, look at for the Lakers, Jeannie Buss. She's the first female owner, I think, to win a championship. So there's another one right there that you can look at as a pioneer. So a lot of doors are going to be open big time for this.
Yeah, I think so. I think another football coach who stands out to me that doesn't get the recognition she deserves is Dr. Jen Walters.
Yes, she was with the Arizona Cardinals. She was was a conditioning coach or something.
Right.
And she's another one. I think she was the first female in football to be in football. So she's another one. And just little by little, you see him coming out. And I think with the hiring of Kim Ng, and I think doors going to be busted open, and you're going to see a lot women getting positions, getting jobs. And I would be surprised to see a woman manager in Major League Baseball. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's interesting about the Jeter dynamic was when she worked for the Yankees from 98 to 2001, the 3 years. She indicated it was great going to New York because she was able to see winning at a high level for a long time. And you talk about excellence came from time permeated down all the way to the organization where they give 100% every day. And she's looking to build that culture there. So when you work with the Yankees, that's the gold standard of organizations. And, let's not kid yourself. You have a good dynasty there, and Derek Jeter's right in the middle of it all.
Yeah, it's amazing. And she's won 3 championships in her 20-year career. And she's got a lot of experience. She knows a lot of people. And you can't get any better by going to New York, playing with one of the greatest franchises in all of sports. And you're there with one of the greatest Yankees of all time, Derek Jeter. And this is like, I think it's going to be a very smooth transition. And like I said, she'll be given lots of time to get her staff and to make some moves. And it's going to be very, very exciting. And I'm very excited to see the Marlins and to see Kim Ng. And like I said, I'm rooting for her. And she's definitely a pioneer.
Yeah, the one thing that she emphasized today is if there's anything that she can offer advice about is when you're hired, that you're hired for your opinions. So if you have diverse opinions and you're not talking, she's just saying, go out there and voice it. What's the worst that can go wrong? They don't agree with you. So what? And I think that's what she's looking to do, is get input from everybody around here to make that decision. She's going to need that analytics department, the scouting department. And she's seen it for so many different ways. She really has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I said, this is a home run, and she's got a lot of experience, and it's going to be fun to see her what she can do, and I think she'll be very successful. And I agree with Dave. I think I can see the Marlins in the World Series in the next 5 years. They're young, and they got a lot of cap room, and they're in Miami, and it's just a very exciting time. And you got Derek Jeter there, and one of the greatest Yankees of all time. So it's a very attractive place to go to. So it's very high on the Marlins right now.
I think when you look at self-evaluation, this was brought up as well during the media availability about not getting jobs. The thing that Kim mentioned was, what can I have done better? You learn from every interview. It's difficult dealing with failure publicly, but you have to keep pushing hard. Whether you're a woman or a man, let's not kid yourself. Every interview you go on, you have to learn from it no matter what. It just makes you a lot stronger. Dave, you're nodding your head. Go ahead.
Well, one thing that just came to mind for me was, she should and better have the respect, of everyone else in that front office. Because, as we've been talking, she's got over 20 years in the game. It's not like, she's, the niece of the owner. She wasn't, there's no, nepotism that's a part of this. As you said, Scott, she has paid her dues in this game. And, she should have the, obviously, of course, she's got the, the respect of Derek Jeter. Obviously, he's in the owner's office, all the way down into the dugout. So, I'm sure there, she's, she might face some criticism, obviously, from, maybe I'm sure there's, plenty of baseball purists out there that say, oh, well, a woman in a man's game, give it a year or two and then she'll be out. But, like I said, I respect her, and she should have the respect of everybody else, in that organization. As, again, as we've been saying, to go from New York to LA, to Chicago, basically where she's been a protege of, Joe Torre for a couple of years now. She should have, nothing but respect, from anyone in that organization. And I think if, there's ever going to be instances where she's shown disrespect, I think that person's going to be hauled into Jeter's office and the door is going to be closed for probably a good hour or two.
Well, I think the one thing that was really important that she talked about is not only so much from a team standpoint, but she talked about her community, that she wants to be a pillar in the community. And I think that's the one thing that cannot be lost sight of. It's one thing to be able to put a good product on the field, but she realizes how important it is to win not only your community. And one thing about Southern Florida, obviously the Miami area is where the stadium is located and so forth. But if you can go ahead and this team is consistent year in and year out, you might be able to draw people in from Broward County as well as Palm Beach County once in a while. And I think that that's important. Bear in mind, Marlins Park itself used to be the old site of the Orange Bowl. And when the Miami Dolphins were winning, they put 70,000 people strong in that building. Now, granted, this venue, Marlins Park, is 35,000. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to draw. And I think the one thing about Southern Florida sports is if you win, they'll support. If you don't win, they won't support. That's just the community that we live in here. So, anything else you want to add to it?
Just as we've been saying, just looking forward to the future. And, as Rick has said, best of luck to Kim Ng. And, of course, from all of us here, we wish her good luck. And we can't wait to see the next couple of years produces down there in Miami.
Yeah, I think the thing that's important, too, that even when you talk about picking up, who knows, you might find the Marlins selling more merchandise to young girls as well. I mean, let's not kid yourself. You will be able to attract more females to the sport to begin with. And again, you're talking about the Domino's hats. I mean, merchandise is a part of any business anyways. But when you're able to attract more female interest, because again, you guys have reiterated the role model part of the whole thing. That's what it's all about. But she understands that there's a lot of pressure to be had here as well. She knows that there's a responsibility that for what it took for her to get a job, that she figures she had 10,000 pounds on one shoulder, and now it'll be transferred to the other shoulder. So When you hear that kind of analogy, what comes through your mind?
You know, I mean, there is pressure there, and definitely there's pressure there. You know, I just think of perseverance. You know, you got to persevere through it. You know, and I know she's gonna have unfortunately, she's gonna have a bigger microscope under her because she is a woman. I mean, if this was a guy got hired with all that experience, no, people would say, "Oh, that's a good hire." But unfortunately, when you're a woman and in a quote unquote man's world, you know, you got to persevere from that. So I think it's a lot of perseverance. But like I said, she's had a lot of interviews where she got turned down, and it just makes you a better person. I know I've done that when I went to interviews and didn't get the job, and then you look back and say, you know what, I'm glad that didn't happen to me, and it made me a better person. And then I learned the mistakes that I made at the last interview, and then all of a sudden you get the job and you're happy. Things work out. So I think it all worked out great for her, especially having Jeter and Mattingly there, two people that she knows. So to me, it's just a lot of perseverance.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. You know, I've been on my share of interviews myself, and it's kind of hard, when you get turned down or you don't have a good interview, to be your own worst critic, saying, well, I bombed that one. I know I'm not going to be getting a phone call from them. But I said, and it's almost the business of interviewing. It's they're great learning tools. To be able to look back on and say, okay, well, maybe I could look them in the eye more, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's definitely something where you go on 5 interviews, you don't do so well on each one, you don't get the job for each one. But you go on your 6th, and you know what you did wrong, what to fix, and that could be the one that you wind up getting, that you really want, and say, well, the other 5 didn't work out. Thought I wanted the job. Glad I didn't, as Rick just mentioned. But number 6, those have prepared me for this one. So, but I mean, yeah, the pressure is going to be there, and as Rick said, she's going to be on such a microscope that she's a woman. There's a lot of people are going to want her to fail. Because they feel it's, a job only for men. But, and I'm sure, and she knows that, obviously, being in the game 20 years, and you can only just, take so much pressure or deal with it, hopefully she can deal with it the best she can, and, make it work to her advantage.
I think the one thing 2020 has lacked has been a good hope and inspiration story. And we obviously know for obvious reasons with all the great people we've lost that have died this year and COVID-19, and the beat goes on. But we needed a story like this at the end of 2020 that was hope, that provided hope and inspiration. And I can tell you what, this Kim Ng story to me definitely fits that bill.
Oh, I totally agree. I think this is like probably the most inspirational story of the year. Not a lot of good news at all happening for 2020. It's been awful for everybody's been affected by it, and this is a story of hope and perseverance, and breaking the walls down and breaking those stereotypes down, and just showing people that, a woman can do a man's job. And like I said, if this was a man that got hired with her experience, people would say that's a really good hire. But, unfortunately, she's under that microscope. And I think that's the added twist to this, that she's a woman, but she's got tons and tons of experience. And she wasn't handed a team. It wasn't like her uncle died and she got a team, and there you go. She worked very, very hard to get to where she's at, and it's very well deserved.
David?
Yeah, basically what Rick said. This year it needs all the feel good stories, that it can. Obviously, with this pandemic, it's taken so many lives around the world, and obviously, and we've lost so many Hall of Famers in this year. And quick shout out to Tommy Lasorda. He's in the hospital in intensive care out there in Los Angeles, and current oldest living Hall of Famer, at 93 years old. But yeah, it's this is a feel good story, all the way around. And we, and of course, thanks to Kimming, for, obviously, paying her dues, not feeling like, well, I'm a woman, and, as Rick said, she's an Asian woman, thinking she can just, walk into a job, but, she's paid her dues. And, it's like we've been talking about over the broadcast, in the 20 years she's been in this game, and she's now seeing, the fruits of her labor. And, she's going to be, when it's, season's not currently being played, she's going to be called to speak, where probably all over Florida. I'm sure, some colleges will have her at their graduation ceremonies.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, she's, not just put her name out in baseball circles, but, and just, really, name any circle you could think of that, I mean, she's going to become a household name. And, so many people are going to say, well, let's get Kim Ming in here to speak. And, if they're willing to pay the hefty fee to get her there. But yeah, it's great for the year of 2020. And we've only got about another 6 weeks, of this year left. And I know a lot of people are going to be happy to say goodbye to it. But yeah, this is, nothing, it's a feel good story all around, nothing but good times. And, again, yeah, proud of Kim Ming, for, putting in her time, and, and again, wish her the best.
Well, I mean, she mentioned today that being with her position, that it is a collaborative process, that there'll be more different people involved and facets. And, when she talks about going through feeling the process, she's going to comb through that information and then come to a decision in time. So she understands how important it is to get a lot of people involved. I know Brian Flores of the Miami Dolphins lauded the hiring. Obviously, the community he lives in, and he's a minority candidate who was able to get a job being the Dolphins head coach. I was at working out pretty well. He's one of the few Belichick guys that's doing well. And I'm amazed at the reaction that it's gotten all over the sports world, not just the baseball world. And I know, being in the baseball world as long as I've been in, that while the baseball bubble is a big bubble, you could go many years without seeing somebody, but then you see somebody tomorrow, it's like they never forgot about you. So it's a big world, but yet a small world. And I think when it's all said and done, though, now while we're talking about the pioneer story, the feel-good woman story, in 2 or 3 weeks, when this is all smoke settles, you're not going to really think consciously whether it's a woman running this thing or not. Kim Ming's going to get her hands dirty like 29 other general managers out there, and her goal is to make sure that she's going to go out there and win and put the best product on the field possible, making sure that she has, the necessary pieces in place. And full well that what Derek Jeter's still calling the shots at the top. She's got Don Mattingly, so she's going to have a great support system around there. So it won't matter whether you're a male or a female in the general manager spot, although don't get me wrong, she will be under the microscope, and she's the one who will ultimately make trades, and she's been around it long enough and more qualified that she can do that.
Definitely. I posted this story when I saw it, and I said, oh, this is a great story. This is fantastic. I put it on my page, and oh my goodness, all these people that commented on it and liked it. People who are not even baseball fans were applauding it and say, this is fantastic. This is a great hire, and she's really she made history. So, I think it is the feel-good story of the year, and not many feel-good stories and that we can look at. And, like I said, we have a first female vice president. Now we have a female GM. We talked about Becky Hammond. Jeannie Buss went first female owner to win a world championship. So, I mean, women are really making a huge strides, not just in sports, but around the world.
Yeah, when you look at this story in general, you're right, Rick. It is not a baseball story. This, folks, is a human interest story. This is bigger than just big. This is a huge human interest story. And I think the thing that I was amazed at Kim during her with us, very level-headed and even-keeled individual. Remind me of Don Mattingly or remind me of Derek Jeter. When you got level-headed She was very easy to follow, very easy to understand everything she said. And you could tell the way she carried herself in front of all of us. Bear in mind that this lasted over an hour, and there was a lot of national media people in on this call. And that's how well respected she is. But this is a human interest story. And when you think of what the Miami Marlins have done all year, not only getting to the playoffs and surviving what they've done, and of course, and then with Don Mattingly and Kim Ng, you can't have a much better offseason at this point than you would otherwise. And I'm sure the player situation will take care of itself. She's got a lot of work to do. You know, we're only talking mid-November right now. Things are she's going to go through that Marlins media guide, see what she has. She'll see about the versatility that she has amongst other female employees in addition to the males. She'll evaluate every aspect of player development, which she's good at and knows a lot of, the international draft. And then there's free agency. There's trades to be made. World Series just completed a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. She got a lot of work ahead of her.
Yeah, she does. You know, the honeymoon period will last for a little while, but she's not one of those types of people that basically saying I haven't looked at the end of the rainbow. This is a step-by-step process. And she's right. It is a step-by-step process.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
But to be able to work for the Dodgers, the Yankees, the White Sox, and the MLB office, common denominator, lots of great baseball people, Joe Torre, Derek Jeter, now Don Mattingly. The beat goes on and on. Yeah. Anything else you want to add about this hire? I think it's just unbelievable. It just amazes me.
I agree.
Yeah, I love the hire. I think it's great. I love the story, and shared it on the page. People loved it, and with this pandemic raging as bad as it is, you know, people can see this story and find hope and find like, wow, she persevered, and she's a GM in quote unquote man's world, and I think people are going to be inspired and say, boy, if Kim Ng can do it, why can't I?
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that's really great. I remember many, many years ago when I was writing about the Detroit Lions regularly. Well, one of the biggest female pioneers that I've ever seen, and I had the good pleasure to write a story with her, was Leslie Visser of CBS, and she's in the NFL Hall of Fame, so go figure. And Kim Ng, mind you, is, I believe, in her 50s. She's got good work ahead of her. Leslie Visser is just unbelievable. But, and again, I'm just mentioning Leslie. There's a lot of other females that we probably haven't even talked about that we would probably need ages and ages to do it. But we've talked.
Hannah Storm is another one. Hannah Storm.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
When I first started watching ESPN, the first female sports anchor I saw was Gail Gardner. And I mean, I was like, wow, she's a female. You know, I was just a dumb teenager, and it was just like, wow, look at her. She knows what she's talking about. Look at her, she's great. So I mean, times have changed so much now, and it's really great to see this.
Well, I think the one thing that we talked about earlier, and you guys are really on target with us, is she didn't inherit the job anywhere. She worked her tail off, paid her dues from the intern to where she's at now. Nobody gave Kim Ng anything. She got her hands dirty, hung around good people, absorbed every piece of information she could get, kept it between her ears and her mind. So nobody gave her anything. She had to go through the trials and tribulations. Will I ever get this opportunity? But stayed with it, plowed through, and she did that. Nobody gave her anything. And in a society where a lot of people think there's entitlement, the word entitlement does not exist with Kim Ng. She worked hard to get it. And I'll tell you what, name an individual in their right mind that's not rooting for this woman. If there isn't somebody that's not rooting for this woman, shame on them.
Yep, I absolutely agree. I mean, it's a great story, and I think everybody's rooting for her, and I know I am. And like I said, when I first saw this story, I said, "Oh, this is phenomenal. This is great." Not only for the Marlins, but I think for Major League Baseball. I think for all sports. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw all female baseball ownership. And I mean, women are really breaking those walls down and those stereotypes in professional sports. We're talking about Jen, what was her name? Jen from the Cardinals. She was the first female. Yeah, Dr. Jen Walter. She was the first female and to work in the NFL. She was a strength and conditioning coach for the for the Cardinals. And I think Dave was talking about, I think her name was Katie Nolan. She's with the San Francisco 49ers. Mm-hmm. She's on that staff as well. And so, and not only is she a female, but I think she's the first openly gay person to work in the NFL. Yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing there as well. It's just all these stereotypes and all these walls are being broken down. It's fantastic.
Well, there's nothing greater than an excellent work ethic and then add intelligence to it. And then you got a pretty good combination for sure. So, and I'll tell you what, for those people in South Florida that disrespected the Miami Marlins, and I know they've struggled a lot through the years by not getting into the postseason, although to their credit, they do have 2 world championships in their history. But they haven't had continuity for a while, but now obviously there's a culture change. And with Derek Jeter involved, the ownership, and the commitment that this team is building, this team will be an organization in South Florida to be reckoned with for a lot of years. And, when you look at potentially what the Marlins can do, you bring in guys, experienced guys and building through the farm system with great personnel decisions and sustainability. If this organization can have sustainability for a long period of time, there's no reason to think that they can't take this community by storm and be undoubtedly one of the best games in this area.
Yep, totally agree. It's going to be very exciting to see them in the next 2 or 3 years, see what she can do and see what trade she can do. And that's going to be the exciting part, what she's going to do in the draft and free agency and things like that. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing, what she can do in those departments. And I'm sure I have no doubt she'll do well.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say is kudos to the Miami Marlins. In fact, you know what? We're going to title this broadcast "Kudos to the Miami Marlins."
There you go.
Has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, it is, because you know what? What they've done here is unbelievable, and what they're going to do, the sky's the limit. With that said, okay, Dave, why don't you let everybody know you're listening to 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan, Roth Motor City Mad Mouth. Glad to have you with us tonight. Dave, go ahead and let everybody know how they can go ahead and get a hold of you.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Dave Divino Hodges, Divnho. It's a Brazilian soccer nickname I've given myself. Big fan of the beautiful game and those past Brazilian teams. I'm also on Twitter at Dave Talks Sports. So you can hit me up on either one of those platforms and let us know what you think of the broadcast, or maybe even some topics you'd like us to talk about in future episodes.
Go ahead, Rick.
You can contact me on my website at www.charlottebats.com. Our email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte MLB and also on Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm also on Instagram at Charlotte Bats. I'm on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curti, Curti, and you can contact me on any of those social media websites.
All right. In terms of following us, you can follow us on Twitter at Tribune South. That's at Tribune South. Facebook, Instagram, South Florida Tribune. YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune. Give you 6 reasons why you should subscribe to it. Got Sports Exchange, No Limits, 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, Real and Rare, Fantasy Football, and South Florida Tribune Podcast. Our website's www.southfloridatribune.com. We have lots of great content on there. We have the Motor City Monitor. I still do a lot of stuff back home in Detroit. We also have our media distribution partners, for which the Marlins are definitely one of our biggest ones, as well as columnists as well. And more importantly, all of our broadcasts are on the website as well. You can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. LinkedIn, connect with me, Scott Morganroth. And of course, if you want to hear the audio version of the broadcast, you can do so through Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. So, you know, we have a lot of great media distribution partners here in South Florida. We're very proud to have the Miami Marlins. They're unbelievable. But we also have the Florida Atlantic University Owls on here as well, the Miami Dolphins, the Florida Panthers, Florida International University Golden Panthers, Nova Southeastern University Sharks, as well as a lot of other ones as well. But these are the ones that supply us with a lot of stuff so that we can keep our local following intact, and we're proud to have every one of them. And what can I tell you guys? I mean, the only thing I could really basically say really is congratulations to Don Mattingly for winning Manager of the Year, and a congratulations for Kim Ng for being the pioneer that she's going to be, not only with this organization but around the sports world as well. And there's no question in my mind, I think she's going to do an absolutely wonderful job with her experience and her even-keeled work ethic. And she won't take this opportunity for granted. I can, just by judging by what I saw today, and I'm looking forward to working with, hopefully I'll have more opportunity to get to work with her in spring training as well into 2021. But we're off to a marvelous start today. And when I heard this story and I saw the reaction it was getting all over the world, yeah, it was just tremendous. So, with that said, Rick, why don't you give the COVID-19 message?
Well, unfortunately, guys, things are not getting better. They're actually getting worse. Deaths have increased. Every city, state, it's surging out of control. Can't stress this more than enough. Please wear a mask. You know, I mean, it's just, we need to check the egos. You know, we need to, you know, I'm young and I can handle this and all this. So just please wear a mask, not only for your safety, but for other people's safety. There are people out there that are just, unfortunately, and as mind-boggling as it is, are not taking it seriously. You know, I'm still seeing bars packed like crazy. And people are just not social distancing. And I understand people are tired of it. I'm tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. But please just wear a mask and just be safe. Use some common sense. Wash your hands. And, you know, the holidays are rough. And I know a lot of people want to fly home and see their family, you know, stuff like that. But a lot of them have said just do like virtual, like a Thanksgiving or Christmas or something, you know. But just please be safe out there, and don't just use common sense and just wear a mask.
Well said. That's why you get to say it all the time, because you're really good at it. Well, I wish I could sit here and tell you that I'd like to stay home. Unfortunately, though, I got to drive to Michigan on Saturday. My mother is terminally ill, and I need to get up there, and it's something I need to deal with. But you know what? Wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to talk about the Miami Marlins, an organization that's come a long way, and they're going to go even further. I guess, while 2020 has been rough for a lot of people, I got to tell you, 2020, in my eyes, with the Miami Marlins, has been a really good year. So, and it's only going to get better for this organization. So, I have to take some time off over the next few weeks to take care of family business. My mom is terminally ill, dealing with COPD at an advanced stage, but we'll do what we've got to do to get through it. But meanwhile, I want to thank everybody for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth. My co-hosts are Rick Curti and David Hodges. So, guys, great job this evening, and I hope you guys will have an opportunity to go out there and share this broadcast. It's certainly a classic, and we certainly enjoy being able to make sure we get this message. This is an unbelievable story coming from an organization that's will continue to make unbelievable strides, and this was just a huge step in what's been a very great offseason so far for the Marlins. But they've got more work out of them, but they're off to a fine start during this offseason. So once again, on behalf of Dave Hodges, Rick Curti, my name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Good evening, everybody, and God bless.